Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you're joining us from in the world. I'm RJ Horner, and I'm the host of Open Up. Hello. Sorry, folks. I'm the host of Open Up, Vice President of Voice of Men 360. And Voice of Men 360 is a not-for-profit organization founded in 2020 and based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men was born out of seeing a tremendous need in stepping up to provide services to help support and overcome our men's, boys' life's challenges. We're part of International Men's Day, and International Men's Day has been represented in is now represented in 90 countries around the world, as they've been in operation for 21 years, doing various activities to help support men. International Men's Day follows 6 pillars, which represent the overall well-being of men and boys, and we follow in those same footsteps here. So why is Open Up so important? Because men are not willing to open up our hearts. We're not willing to share our matters. And when we keep those within ourselves, they can create emotional or physical challenges. And ill health effects. So we want to avoid that. And that's why we create an open space to allow individuals to share their life journey through our platform. We aim to create awareness about life challenges, struggles, and the overcomes that our men and boys have to go through in their lives. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. With sharing their life journey, all walks of life are invited to participate. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. We bring individuals to allow them to share their life experiences with you. I'd like to remind you that the Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith towards peaceful harmony. Excuse me. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not necessarily represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness to the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We're not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episodes or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us at info@voiceofmen360.org. Our special guest for today's show is Joe Groh. Joe lives in Kitchener, and he's a founder of Mastermind Group. He does personal and small business coaching and mentoring. He's no stranger to men's groups since he started and led a men's group at previous church of 1,000 people called Iron Men's Ministries for over 7 years. He's very familiar with men's issues and very knowledgeable with the process of overcoming obstacles and solving issues with proven methods and solution mindsets. He finished leading an 8-week course on force of forgiveness. He's given talks previously on thankfulness and you were born for this. And then another one called Man Plans, God Laughs. So please welcome Joe Groh to our stage. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. As you notice, I'm in my backyard in my garden having a nice glass of watermelon juice. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for
You're enjoying the afternoon, eh?
Yes, why not? It's beautiful weather here.
Wonderful. Thank you. So you agreed to join us and tell us your story. As early as you can, or as early as you can remember, give us an idea of what led Joe to become this helper of men's issues and this very Christian-oriented person.
Well, that's an interesting question to ask. And what led me there is going through tremendous turmoil, pain, and struggle and suffering in my life. And because there were people that came alongside of me to help me and gave me encouragement and developed friendships with me and helped me, and my relationship with God was there as a source of strength and compassion, I got through that and I felt compelled to want to help others. So many years back, I saw a need in the church I was at that there should be something more for men. So I kept seeing guys in church, they look kind of lonely. And I saw another guy next week kind of depressed and I couldn't handle anymore. After 2 months of that, I had a meeting with the pastor. It said, there needs to be something more for men's ministry. And then I kicked off Iron Man Ministry and I handpicked every guy that came, plus some signed up. So it was quite fulfilling because I was helping guys, and who learns more, the teacher or the student? Usually the teacher, because I was preparing, seeing improvements, seeing guys getting impacted by friendships and being able to open up and saying what's really going on in their lives. And as you indicated earlier, that's not something easy for a lot of guys. I think you're muted now.
You are muted.
You are. Okay. Yeah.
Where did this values come from? Start us maybe early on in your life. We'd love to talk about Joe, the child, the youth. Where, what were you like back then?
Well, that's going back about 150 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. My
Hope you have a good
childhood,
memory, Joe.
yeah, I'll try to be concise. My childhood, if I look back as memory, was not a happy time.
Mm.
It Up until 4 years old, I lived with my grandparents, and I'm German background. They're called Oma and Appa, and they're in Kitchener. And my was raised by a single mother, and so she would go to work, and my grandparents would be taking care of me. So I cherished that time because I felt compassion and love for my grandparents. But at the age of 4, my mother married, and then things went for a change in a totally different direction. The treatment that I received from my stepfather was far from pleasing, pleasurable. Um, a lot of things were told to me that I believed back then, such as you're never going to make it in life. You're good for nothing. The worst thing that ever happened was that you were born. We wish you were never born. The biggest mistake. You're nothing but trouble to us. So when you're told that enough times, eventually you believe it. So I believed all those things. And so I went through a childhood of feeling extremely insecure, feeling inferior, lacking confidence, and terrified a lot, and constantly bullied. I was constantly in fights. But what I obtained from my father was a feeling of fierceness and persistence and fight. So when I get beat up, I'd go home when I'm supposed to be babysitting my brothers and sisters in the basement. I'm lifting weights. So my attitude was, I'm going to get you guys for this. Don't you worry. I got stronger and stronger. And at physical education classes in school, they started seeing how much weight I was lifting. They seemed to be scared. So, but I still got in fights because you attract who you are. The bullies are weak themselves. That's why they're bullying. They're trying to get strong. So it was the attitude of never giving up. I achieved the attitude of never giving up. And I obtained friends here and there. So where my attitude came to be compassion and wanting to help is because people came alongside and they had compassion, like the Good Samaritan in the Bible, and wanted to help. And I want to pay back where I got help that I thought nobody cared whether I was alive or dead. And I went through very lonely, depressing times for a lot of my life. So I had to go through a journey, and I was constantly praying, even as a young guy. I'd go to church and I'd be praying, looking for answers. So I always felt that God had his hand on my life, and he would be there to protect me and guide me and help me through this very lonely time, like I'm in a desert. And I always faked it that I'm doing okay, but the reality is I was living a very lonely life as a child. And so as I grew older, I tried to overcome that. I would be finding pop bottles, and I'd sell the pop, get money for the pop bottles, 5 cents. I'd sell baskets. In high school, I'd sell chocolate bars. So my entrepreneurial spirit started early, and eventually I got into the business world. So there's lots more I can tell you, but I'm trying to answer your questions as
That's
concise
no,
as I
that's
can.
perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you you had your stepfather, you had your grandparents. Did you have good male influences at that point? I mean, you're talking about. I mean, I know from your parents it didn't come very,
Well,
very
I would
strong.
say as a role model, my grandfather would be a male role model.
Mhm.
I had some friends here and there as a very young child, but I look back at my growing up years, and they were definitely not years that I look back that I would say they were the most memorable, pleasurable times. There were some times that we would go fishing, we do different things as I grew up. So there were some times that seemed enjoyable. When I look back at all this to kind of fast forward, went through a long, long time suffering, feeling sorry for myself as the victim. It took me a long time to get to the point of feeling the victor, overcoming it. So this is kind of fast forwarding. It took me decades actually to figure it out. And if it weren't for my faith in God, I would be either dead or in jail because of the thoughts and the things that were going on. I had to come to a point of forgiveness and thankfulness and to love my stepfather regardless how I was treated. Those are very difficult stages to get to. It took me a long time. So I know now how to help someone get through it in a much faster pace, much faster. So as a child, I was always getting in trouble. So I was told my mother loves me the most because I gave her the most trouble. I have two sisters and a brother. Funny thing happened when I'd say I was about 5 years old, somewhere around there. I think 4 years old. There was a neighbor boy down the road. His name was Billy, and I still know him. We went, if you can visualize on the side of the house, there's a little box that opens up a little door and you put money in there and the milkman or the bread man come. Well, we thought that was great. We took the money, be great to buy candies. The next day, the milkman, bread man came and didn't leave any milk or bread. And my mother and grandmother all asked, why didn't you leave us any milk or bread? Well, you didn't leave us the money. You didn't leave the money. Yes, we did. So it didn't take long to figure out where the money went. And I couldn't sit down for a few days because I got a spanking on my bum. And that wasn't the only time. I also took money from my mother's wallet in grade 2. And I got a ride for these midnight girls to school. We lived in New Hamburg, and they always wonder, how come Joey always has money for candy? Well, they eventually figured it out. I'm taking money from my mother's wallet. Purse, she didn't know that I could figure out where she hid it, up on top of the kitchen cupboards. So I constantly got into different issues, and I realize now back then I didn't understand, but now I know I was trying to get attention.
Sure.
I was doing all that to get attention because I wasn't getting the attention I wanted. So I ended up getting negative attention for all the trouble I got into. There's a long list of things I could tell you about how I got into trouble even later years. But my life is far from boring, worthy of a blockbuster movie or a Alfred Hitchcock thriller movie.
Certainly sounding it. Just Joe, the similarities between your life and my life are very like parallel. So again, you say you picked up friends along the way. Did you let people close? Did you have close companions? And at what age? You know, like young adulthood. When did you kind of get close friends? If you
Well,
had
this one friend I told you about that him and I consorted to get the money. He was 6 and I was 4. So it's hard to remember all those friends from those years, many, many years back. So, I can remember some of them. When it comes to girls, for example, I was extremely shy because I felt so insecure inside. And I didn't think I was a good looking guy. Even though people told me it was, I didn't believe it. So I didn't believe good things about myself until many, many, many years later. It took me a long time to figure that out, that those were lies that I was told. So,
and now I guess you started to tell yourself, right? I think we do that to ourselves as well.
Yeah. And I gave a talk 2 weeks ago to men's breakfast. It's called How to Love Yourself. So I talked about that, and it might seem strange and weird, but it all comes down to how do you feel about yourself. If you like and love yourself, then you're in a position to be able to like and love others. How can you love anybody else if you don't even like yourself? If you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, if you hate yourself and you think you're disgusting and you think you're worthless, which I had all those thoughts, believe it or not, I did. And so when you overcome that, then you're in a position to be able to love others because you have love inside of you. I can't love someone else if I don't have it inside of me. So where do you find all that? So with my walk with God, with friends I developed, with the pastor, with the men's group, I developed because I was reaching out to help. So I was doing all of that. Once what you give out will eventually come back. And the funny thing is we attract who we are.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I agree. You know what? When I was at my angriest, and I was angry at the world. I hated the world as far as I was concerned. But it was when I realized that it was me. I didn't hate I hated the person I was. I hated what I was doing. that really I woke up. You know what I mean? I was able to change and I was able to make a better life for myself. And what a realization that is, right? How to love yourself. And now I'm in a place of love. So again, like you say, you start to get back at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get back, you help people. Talk about, you just said you gave a talk last week. Talk about some of the work you do for men's help and men's health.
Well, one of the things that's helped me immensely, and then is having the men's group several years ago, where guys we'd get together and we discuss what's really going on honestly in our lives, and we pray and we do Bible study. But the key factor is building friends. And the interesting part I've discovered, RJ, is you discover who your real friends are when you're in trouble. If you lose everything, almost your mind, you find out who your real friends are. That they're with you, for you. You can count on if you're feeling down, depressed, sad, lonely, if your wife just walked out on you, if you're getting your car repossessed, or you're behind on your rent, you got no food, you got no money, who are you going to call? Who will be there for you? And so I have a few select friends I can count on, but you discover the sad thing, you discover who your real friends are when you're in trouble. It's easy to have friends when you just win $100 million on Lotto 649, but who is there for you? So I felt compelled to put a group together, and I'm in group now because I see the important significance of associating, having friends, talking about anything and everything, and don't have to worry about they're going to put in the radio, TV, or newspaper about what's going on in your life, that you have someone that cares enough to just to be there, that doesn't have an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You talked about groups. They're a part of what we're doing now here. Let's talk about the value of them. Again,
Well,
you know what? Men
yeah.
get to be men. At least in a men's only group, men get to be men, right? Why is that special? What's so good about that?
Well, I joke about that when women are present, say it's a men's breakfast because we usually talk about women, and they laugh. But the reality is what do men usually talk about? Women, cell phones, their work or sports or money. So women are pretty high on the list. So usually a man's not going to open up if a woman's there. And it
Right.
actually happened in one of our groups. We were meeting a country boy restaurant in the back, and a woman showed up because I had an ad on back then, the newspaper, announcing our group. She didn't know that it was only for men. She showed up, and she was quite attractive too. So it was very distracting for the majority of the men. It totally changed the atmosphere of the meeting. But groups, in my opinion, are extremely important and powerful to get together, whether it's a men's group or women's group. In this case, we're discussing men, because some men have a challenge opening up. Women find it easier to open up. That's from my discovery. So there's a group that we meet Wednesday morning. We met this morning at 6 o'clock. And the unique part about it, the senior pastor is there. So what's helped me immensely, he's been a pastor for 47 years, has a radio program. I've had him as a role model mentor, and he didn't even realize it. So the last few years that we've had the group going, it's called Recharge Men's Ministry. It's helped me immensely because I watched every move he make, every word he says, how he handles himself, how he looks at women, everything I've watched. So it is probably fast tracked where I'm at in my life the last few years more than anything. So what men really need is a buddy that they can count on through thick or thin, and that they can share anything with. They're not worried about who's going to find out, because men struggle with a lot of stuff. Could be drinking, overeating, porn, could be all sorts of things. They don't want to be judged or condemned, or who are they going to share it with? What if a man has thoughts of suicide? Who's he going to tell? There's got to be someone he can count on to share, that he knows that that person cares enough to listen. Not just talk, but to listen.
And you know what we mentioned, sure, we would hope that people can do this with their friends. You know what I mean? Open up, be as comfortable as you can with those closest to you, because they know you, they can recognize some things, and they can help you forward. But there are so many people out there who aren't that comfortable, who don't want to open up, as we say. And there's where that men's only, you know what, somebody who's going through what you've gone through, somebody who can feel your pain or help guide you through the next step of your journey is just so powerful and so vital to our growth as men, I think.
Yes, and you say friends, so you would first of all need to, in my opinion, define what is your definition of a friend. So it's so easy to put that word, that label on someone, and you think they're your friend, but you find out later on that they weren't your friend. But the key is look at it as a lesson and not to be angry, not to be bitter, not to be resentful, not to be unforgiving, because when you are, then who gets hurt is you. So look at it as a learning experience, and that's the challenge, is loving people in spite of how they treat you. In spite of how they treat you. Is that easy to get through in life? No, it took me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
So to keep finding if it's a true friend or a false friend. Because the interesting thing is many of our friends are competing with us to see who gets the biggest house, the most beautiful wife, the biggest bank account, the nicest car, the nicest shoes, the nicest clothes, the nicest watch. They're competing with us. We don't even realize that until we figure that out later. They're competing with us. So are they really friends or are they competitors? So that's really the thing, is would that friend accept us whether we had no money? I've told a couple of my friends, I would be your friend even if you lost everything. It doesn't matter how much money, how many houses you have. I have some friends that own a lot of property, a lot. I told them, I'll be your friend even if you lose everything tomorrow, even if something happens.
Yep. And those are rare, of course. You know what? Those are rare to find people like that. Certainly, compassion is lacking in our modern age. Um, but we do what we can. We try to keep an honest face. You know what I mean? We try to
Yeah.
believe in the betterment of people, right? So,
Yeah.
so you've been operating these groups, these men groups, for many years. Could you maybe describe some of the common problems that men have to go through?
Well, one of them that's most prevalent is addictions. Is it could be alcohol, could be drug, overeating, could be porn, different things. It could be mismanaging the money, and many men are embarrassed. They're shy to really say what's really going on. They could be suffering from depression, anxiety, and they don't know where to turn. They could be suffering from thoughts of suicide. They could be married to a woman, but now become attracted to a man. They could be wanting to become a woman. You know, like the world is a crazy place. So anything is happening now. And who are they going to confide in? Who they were going to talk to? You know, um, that's really the key. Was who can they confide in? If they have someone they can confide in, and the crucial part of a group is knowing that what's is said there is confidential, not breathed somewhere else.
Yes.
And so that's an important part, and that's a predominant factor of 12-step groups, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics or Anonymous or Overeating Anonymous, is that it's supposed to be confidential. And the key is finding someone, if you're struggling with addiction, that has overcome it, that can understand your pain, because we're trying to fill a pain with that addiction. And the addictions are all the same, but they just go in a different form. They're there to soothe the pain inside of us. And there's only certain things that can fill that pain. And God made us for a purpose. In the that's actually another talk I'm working on, determining your purpose, is why are we on this earth? Why are you on this earth? And I've asked several people that question and they don't even know. They're confused. If you know why you're on this earth, that helps us get through the pain and the depression, anxiety faster, because we're running alongside the creator of the universe and he knows why we're here. So if we run our whole lives trying to figure why we're here, it can be up and down roller coaster ride trying to figure it out.
And you know what? Sometimes it's a matter of us not answering the simple question, what do I want from life? What do I want out of my life? And then now you get the answers, and now you can reach, whatever goal or passion you have.
It's more so what can we contribute to life? Too many people are looking what they can get out of life, but they're not willing to put anything into it. They want everything given to them free, and they're not willing to work for it or do what they can to help people. Like there's been examples where I see people struggling in their eyes and their body language. They're going through something, or they'll say something like, you ask them how they're doing, and they say they're doing fine, or they say they're doing okay. And people say, oh, that's good. And they walk away. They don't realize when someone says they're doing fine or they're doing okay, they're in big trouble. Why would you walk away when someone says they're doing fine, think they're doing great? They're not. They're in big trouble. Fine is a way of covering up the truth, which is they're in big trouble. And my last talk, I mentioned it from the movie Italian Job. Donald Sutherland asked Mark Wahlberg in the movie, how are you doing? He said, fine. Fine. Yeah, I know. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's the acronym for fine.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you know what fine means, I hope whoever's listening will pay more attention when someone says they're fine and ask them, what can they do to help you feel better?
Absolutely. Some great advice there, Joe. So, as we start to end up our show, I like to ask two questions from people. And really, it is about us giving guidance to people out there. So, what can our young men and boys do to empower themselves?
What they can do is look to an older man and look at him as a role model and see what they can do to model their life, that a life that's worth modeling. And if they have a faith in God, look to a man that's a godly man. Look to someone that they can look to as a role model and follow that person. And when they tell them to do something, listen. They can listen to wiser people and live a life that is worth remembering and figure out why they're on this earth. And that's easy to figure out. What are you most suited for in your ways of behavior, in your talents and your gift? Once you figure that out, things move much faster in your life rather than struggling to figure out why I'm here. So those aren't difficult things to get to, but some people make it difficult because they're running around in circles trying to figure it all on their own. If you have a mentor, a coach, a role model, and if you're blessed enough to have a father that treats you with love and kindness and cherishes you and respects you, then hang on to that because you're very blessed. And I'm very grateful that I made peace with my parents. In 1990, I drove there and they didn't know I was coming. I didn't even know I'm going there. It's Thanksgiving Day. I spent 8 hours there and a lot of crying, screaming, and yelling going on. But it was a point of making peace. And it wasn't an instantaneous weekend seminar to make peace. It took still many years to figure out how to forgive, how to love, and how to be thankful, regardless of how I was treated, in my opinion. I look at it now, my parents did the best job they knew for what they learned in their life. They
Yes.
couldn't have done any different. That's where the blueprints that they had, how to live their life. So for me to expect them to have handled and behaved differently wouldn't have been possible. For example, my stepfather was a Nazi youth. He trained as a Nazi. If you watch World War movies, how could I expect him to have high level compassion like a pastor that isn't in his training? You know what I mean? My mom was a single mom, struggling to make ends meet, working in lecture home. How could I expect anything different? But I looked at poor me, sucked my thumb,
Yep.
felt sorry for myself for many decades. But it took a long process to love in spite of how I was treated.
Absolutely.
And the best example is when Jesus is on the cross. He said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. He didn't sing, I'm going to get you guys for this. He didn't do that. He forgave no matter how harshly he was treated. And that is very difficult
Absolutely.
to forgive someone if they said something wrong to you, talked behind your back, they cheated, lied, stole, betrayed your trust. How do you forgive that?
Yeah.
How do
We
you
all
love? How do you love them? How can you be thankful for God? He made them. But that's the process
Absolutely.
to move forward with power and strength by being able to do that.
Absolutely. We don't realize that that's negativity in itself. You know what I mean? We have this
Yeah.
desire for revenge, and we don't realize the cost that comes with that, little passion. So,
Yeah.
what can we as a society do to help our boys and men on their journey?
Well, we can become the best role models we can be instead of focusing on what we can get out of our life and live a fast-paced life and get. Hey, I like nice things like everybody else, but what can we do to help and contribute to others? If we see someone that we feel is worthy of congratulating and elevating them, do it. Say nice things, compliment, and do what we can so that they feel good that we are with them that day. Look for the good qualities we can compliment, congratulate them, and be optimistic about their life. And so that way they remember us, and we are the ones that are the role models to live a life worth reckoning that can make a progressive difference in this world. So I'm grateful for Pastor Ken Miles of the church I attend. He's been that role model to me for the last few years. He gave a talk one Sunday and I was sleepy. I was so tired, but the talk was on thankfulness. That's why I did a talk on it. And he said, we're supposed to thank people even if they treat us bad and condemn and reject us. And I said, what? Are you talking to me? I felt like I'm the only one in the church. Then I told him I was falling asleep. Oh, this is boring. Then when he said that, I woke up. To be thankful when someone treats you bad, that's quite a twist. But I thanked everyone that treated me bad, and it's unbelievable what happened.
Yeah, the
The
forgiveness.
anxiety and stress inside of me disappeared.
Yeah,
It was miraculous what happened. So the key secrets are forgiving those who've hurt you. Forgive the person it's in the mirror. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Love others. Love yourself. And be thankful for everything, which means crises, which means when you hit someone in your car, when someone says something wrong, because be thankful in it because something good's going to come from it.
right. Thank you for this lesson, right? That's pretty much what we have to say.
Yeah.
Joe Groh, thank you for joining us and sharing your life journey with us today. I appreciate your courage and willingness to help others and share your life struggles and challenges. Not many men can come forward and do that, so thank you for opening up today.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And I feel great at a point in my life that I'm now in a position to be able to contribute and help others when I see someone in their eyes and their body language are struggling way before other people see it months later. So I like to look at eyes and body language and see when someone's going through something, be there, see what you can do to have a helping hand, give them a hug, pray with them, laugh with them, cry with them, be there to help others. Don't ignore it, help them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you're doing so much to help help others. So thank you. That's wonderful. So a few announcements to end the show. As many Canadians know, our Indigenous communities are in big crisis right now and they need our help and support. Voice of Men 360 is doing its part in stepping up. We've started a donation drive for Indigenous families. If you have any used clothes, items, dry food, dry goods, please contact us through Voice of Men 360 or info@voiceofmen360.org, through Facebook Messenger, or phone us at 416-356-7414. That's 416-356-7414. Or our phone number at 437-889-8329. So Voice of Men 360 is hosting its first meet and greet. We want to meet our constituents out there. We want to meet our audience, get to know each other. Please come out and join us Saturday, August 28th from 11 to 3 p.m. in Earl Bales Park. That's North York at Bathurst and Shepherd area. Again, August 28th, 11 to 3 p.m. Bring some used goods then to help donate and support our Indigenous community as we meet and greet in Earl Bales Park. We have several live shows here. The first one you just participated in is called Open Up, where we share people's life journey with you. This takes place Wednesday at 6 p.m. or Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Then we also have which means I is a Tamil language live talk show. That's on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We also have a monthly webinar the first Saturday of every month from 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring the expertise of organizations to discuss a particular topic. We have a special show each month called The Unspoken Tears, which takes place the second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., where the topic is domestic violence against men. We also co-host a show with the South Asian, or called the South Asian Men Show, where the topic is issues that face South Asian males. And this is hosted with the All Bengal Men's Forum. This is the third Sunday of every month from 11:30 to 12:30 a.m. And then we turn all of our content into podcast episodes. So please look for us for more from all of your favorite platforms. And then we have a couple of support groups that we have started. The first one is a men's only for men by men. This takes place the third Tuesday of every month from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join through Zoom. And then we have an Indigenous peer-to-peer support group called Pass the Talking Stick. This takes place the fourth Friday of every month from 6 to 7 p.m. Next one is August 27th. Again, please register through Zoom. And then thank you for joining us. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life are invited to participate in our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows, or you're willing to be a part or assist in our organization in any way, please reach out to us. We'd love to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, government organizations, and not-for-profits, and more. Our phone number is 437-889-8329. Email address info@voiceofmen360.org, which makes our website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can also reach us at .com or .ca. You can also find us on all your social media platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more on YouTube. Also, reach out to us on Facebook at our group, facebook.com/group/voiceofmen360. We want to reach out and help more people and continue that journey, so please continue your support. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, I'm RJ Horner, your Vice President of Voice of Men 360, asking you to open up.